Man, I'm doing so good. You know, I read the Bible today.
Yo, this is start of forgiveness. We sticking straight to the business. We give it up to the kingdom. So let's sit down with them sinners. We the disciples of Jesus. Y'all mastered us who was king. Trying to build up the remnant. Put together the pieces.
Yo, you know who it is. It's your big, bearded, bandana wearing, woo, and like Ric Flair and Bible bearing buddy J. Dot D. Dot Jelly Donuts, the least of these and the chiefest sinner.
At least it's not me this time.
Child of the Most High King, ambassador to his kingdom, and a disciple of Jesus Christ. Woo! I'm here with your boy, my main, the exalter of all excellence, formerly known as Baby Jake the Snake, presently known as Young Israel. We are the remnant, and this is Father Forgive Us. Man, first and foremost, we'd like to give all praises due to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, our Father God, Jesus Christ, and big shots to anybody tuning in right now. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Yo, bro, you know, in 2021, we said you came and you were like, Young Israel was hitting me up. We got to get more people. People like to see us with, they hate to see your ugly face. You're always talking about ice cream and Chinese buffets. And I'm always just joning you about that kind of stuff. We got to get people that's not just us sitting there, making fun of each other. And so I'm very just excited, ecstatic about having one of my very best friends and a man who is like, y'all are, this is the first time y'all met each other.
Yeah,
but he's kind of, it's a part of our family now. My brother, Rob Burgle, bro.
Right there.
Just glad, really. But one of the things is, everybody knows about me, that everything that I've done about, I'm one of Rob's monsters, but I'm actually a figment of his imagination, and I'm just playing. No, but everybody knows what we do, what I do as far as, recovery and having my bouts with, being locked up and addiction and everything. And before, when I was just coming out of that, Rob was a big inspiration and a big help in my life. And before I even knew how to pray, like, this guy is the most praying dude that I've ever met in my life. Like, I've hung around Christians in church that talk about it, that sing about it, that wear nice hats on Sunday and judge people every second that they're sitting in the pew at church. And I didn't meet this guy in church. We've never even been to church together. This guy's never been into a church with me. And has been an example as far as my prayer life more than a lot of people who claim to be
Right.
real Christian church.
Well, that's
people.
what's up, dog, man. I just want to first of all say thank you for coming out, bro. I hope my house don't smell like rotisserie chicken and dog. So I appreciate you driving all the way out here.
I like rotisserie chicken and dog.
What's wrong with rotisserie
But
chickens?
I
and
guess
dogs?
I'd like to start here because there's a lot of people maybe tuning in for the first time, don't really know who we are, or there's some people tuning in and just seeing you for the first time. So how did you two get linked up? I know y'all are tight. How has that whole thing come about? How did y'all get linked up?
So I had I chose to continuously get my teeth kicked in by life over and over. I held a few hostages, held a few kids, a few ladies hostage in houses, while I continuously ruined my life with drugs and alcohol and paid the greater state of Alabama, like their whole judicial system. I bought their whole family's Christmas. That's what I did for years and years. And so just, and the way that we all grow up is just kind of similar in the paths of, when you make money hustling, dealing drugs and doing things like that. You
I don't know what money you was making dealing drugs, because as long as I've known you, you've been broke, dog.
that's
I'm just saying, like.
well, you weren't there. You were a baby.
Right.
When I got into the car business, I was 24. So you were
17 when I was born, right? 17, 18, something like that.
16, 17, something like that. How old are you now? You're 21,
Yeah.
and I'm 38. So yeah, 17. What I'm saying is that so you were like 7, 8 years old. You were still
Right.
in elementary school when I got in the car business and stopped
Right.
hustling. But I had, brand new loaded out Navigators. I was paying, $2,000, $2,500 condos in the middle of the city. I had a great deal, a studio, and just sat around all day. Worked probably just a few hours a week, just making a few runs at that time, and had gotten really, really done what I did well.
Right.
Not very motivated to do it a lot. You know
Right.
what I mean? So, but I was there. We know about our brother Twan being shot,
Mm-hmm.
and
Bro, don't put
so
nobody business.
well, no,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that really like changed my life.
Right,
Like
right.
we're all your dad had actually told me, he was like, buddy, there's two types of drug dealers.
Right.
They're incarcerated and they're dead.
Right.
And that really changed my perspective of things. And I was he was in the car business.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, I can help you get into a career where where you can make some money, make an honest living, and you're not watching your back all the time.
Right.
And I was in a place at that point where, I was thinking about things and contemplating things and contemplating having a family and not just having strippers in my house at nighttime and hanging out with these types of people and prostitutes. And and then Twan had his and my brother got shot, and it was just man, seeing him hobbling around
Right.
on crutches was like, okay, this is getting serious.
Right.
We're all gonna, and then we've lost people. Now we've lost Twan's little brother, G Baby. We've lost, and so many different people. There's just, it's just a crazy world. But I'm not here to talk about me. We'll have a whole nother episode.
Right.
We talk about God a lot
How did
and
y'all
not
get
our
linked
past.
up?
Yeah, but we got linked up through the change. That's
Right.
it. You can't live like that anymore. And trying to I do a lot of recovery, but that's the thing is that what happens in the rooms kind of stays in the rooms, and I think Rob is a better person to ask about that because he's been living the life a lot more than I have. I don't want to tell his bit, let him tell his side of everything, but so I don't know. It's like I'm always on the line. You'll ask me questions about sobriety and stuff, and it's like I say little parts, but I just want, like I always say, if you're dealing with addiction, drugs and alcohol, stop what you're doing. Stop this podcast right now. Pause it and comment below and get my phone number and hit me up because I can help you. But that's I think right here might not be the play. I want to hear. I want to talk to people on the phone.
Now,
It'd
of
be
course,
one-on-one.
we ain't gonna get into the whole
But that's where
program or
we met.
anything like that. But I do want to, ask, your personal side of the story. Like, how long have you personally been sober?
Oh, since August 5th of 1999.
Okay.
So 21 years and some change.
I was born and you got sober.
That was it.
How did that make you feel?
I was 22 years old when I got sober, so.
So what made you want to do that?
Well, let's see. And that's where I met JD. We had a group at our home. And prior to that, I was involved in a lot of the same things that JD was, and pretty much started doing all that when I was 13. And just went up the the mountain of garbage, and like he was talking about, got into selling. I guess you call them gray market pharmaceuticals, allegedly, and
Allegedly.
can't confirm or deny. And then
Right.
from doing that, everything of value in my life disappeared. Family relationships, any standing in any community, freedom, everything. It was just one thing took everything away, and I didn't really know what to do, and so I was 22 and full of rage, and have been living a lie pretty much my whole life, because that's all that is. That whole game is a lie, all of it, all of the people involved in it. So,
And what do you mean by that?
It's a facade. It's evil.
Right.
And all it is just people looking out for themselves, and there's no end to it that's good.
Right.
You just end up dead or in prison. And all the people that I was affiliated with are either dead or in prison. One or two of my friends got out of it and have lives.
Right.
But most of them are dead and or in prison. And I'm not, because of God. And so the reason I didn't have a reason. I didn't want to actually get involved or get better. I wanted to find out ways where I could keep doing what I was doing and not have consequences.
Right.
So basically be the same scumbag. This is just the truth. Like, all right, no, I'm not virtuous. Oh no, I'm good. Nothing. I was a mess and angry and 22 and so I was like, how can I keep doing this and just not go to jail? And
Right.
my family be like, hey man, it's cool that you're a scumbag. So basically, I was so delusional,
Right.
and so I got involved, and over time, it started to make sense to me, because in the beginning, I was so angry and scared just because of the life I lived that it took a long time to unravel all the damage that I'd done to myself and others, and so what made me want to do it is seeing other people's lives change and other people get better, and them rebuild their relationships with their family, and them get good jobs and careers, and be able to go somewhere and look people in the eye,
Mm-hmm.
and not feel like garbage because they're doing things that make them not garbage anymore. And I'm not saying that they're garbage, but for the most part, I mean, you are your actions, and so that's kind of what the whole thing is about. Like, it isn't about feelings, it's about what you do when you're feeling. It's about what actions you do, how you respond to life, and basically what it teaches, and most of the program comes out of the book of James, and is that you need a God. And if you don't have one, well, you're pretty much, what are your options? Okay, a long, miserable life of chasing these substances to fill a hole that God belongs in. So I didn't know that. So it took a while for me. But yeah, the thing that makes me want to do it is watching people's lives get better. Like going into the jails and stuff, which they don't let us do anymore because Morona. But that was one of the places I really liked, because most of the people in there are there because of substance abuse and how they were raised and stuff like that. And you go in someplace like that and start talking about how you were raised when you were a child. And most of them get out of their cell because they can get out of their cell and mingle. And when you start talking about your life and how things really were in depth, they start perking up because they're like, that's the way I was. That's the way I was. My childhood was no. And then they really start getting interested, because my life went down the same line. That, like, they're wearing orange jumpsuits. And I'm like, I was too. You know what I mean? And
Right.
It's like, so I don't know. You're showing somebody there's a way out of that, because not a lot of people can hear Jesus Christ and respond positively to it, because Well, for the most part, and I couldn't either when I first started out because I had my religious upbringing, and I had to redevelop a relationship with God on me and God's terms, not the God of my father that didn't go to church, just yelled.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that book.
And that's something that, somebody hit on me the other day that made a lot of sense. A lot of people who have a problem with God or the Bible or any of that stuff, right? It usually stems back to somebody in their life that claimed to be doing all that stuff and then went against that. And I think it was my dad actually said, but what did Jesus ever do to you personally? Right? Was it somebody that did something to you, or did Jesus do anything to you? That's what you got to get down to with a lot of these people.
Me and JD had this discussion yesterday. Like a buddy of mine that I've been working with, he was talking about the institution and this, that, and the other thing, and some things that had happened to him. And I was like, so what does it say in the book? So is it God's word that caused this to happen, or is this man perverting God's word to impose his will on you?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, dang it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like, yeah,
right.
There's a bunch of men that took advantage of this to harm you. So you got to separate that, because the book doesn't say any of that. Like,
right.
You know,
but that's why you got to read it for yourself,
Right.
because if you just hear somebody else spitting on it, they can make it say whatever they want it to
yes.
Take pieces of it.
Right.
Well,
and take it out of context.
What are their motives? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, you never really know. So read it, and find out.
Yeah, I grew up watching Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, and he's one of my favorite speakers ever, because he's like was like enchanting to me as a kid. It's like, yeah, and this and that, and he's spitting right out of the word of God, and I'm like, yeah, and then Abraham was a gorilla in this.
Wait a minute.
He's like, what? Okay, I guess. What? So yeah. But you can pick and choose and pick your parts. Real quick, if I can intervene a few things. Rob, before we get too far about what he was saying, when you're living in wrapped up in addiction, I saw a quote actually one of my brothers that we're trying to get on here that is in recovery and doing a great job. Tim, we're going to try to get him on soon. He posted something on his Facebook that addiction is giving up everything for one thing. And recovery is giving up just one thing for everything. And so, it's you're giving up everything. You're giving up respect, everything Rob was talking about. You're giving up family, you're giving up friendships, you're giving up your life, because you're going to seclude yourself. It doesn't matter. If you're loaded, you can live in a closet. I could be in a closet as long as I feel like I know God, and actually he's in this closet with me. Let me just,
right.
take off again. And then, and like Rob was saying, that when he first got there, what were his intentions, and why was he doing this? When I first went in, I'll say that I've known Rob for 3-4 years, something like that. But now I've only been sober 19 months. So if you do the math, it's 20 months on the verge. So if you do the math, I started going to his meetings and then said, yo, screw this. And went back out and was throwing up blood and having blood come out of everywhere but my eyeballs and ears, which it'll start. It'll come out of your eyeballs and ears when you're dying. And so I was killing myself again, went back out. And so what's your motivation? The first time I went in, I wanted to not get in trouble, not pay these fines. I wanted my wife and my mom to shut up. That was it. But I'm not like y'all. You are really messed up. Like, that guy doesn't have any teeth. I got my teeth. I'm cool. That guy doesn't have a job. He lives in a box. He came in here off the street. I got a house. I got at least a floor to stay on at my mom's house.
Right now.
Yeah, right now. Right. Yeah. So, I haven't lost my teeth yet. We were having that conversation. I haven't lost my place to stay yet. I haven't, started bleeding out of my eyeballs yet. It's
that's
continuous.
something that-
and real quick, but it's just what's your motivation for doing it? What's your motivation for doing anything?
But that's another thing though, is that some people, bro, they get so far out there, they don't even be thinking like that. You know what I'm saying? They just give up. They're just like, well, I lost 1, 2. Now I'm just gonna lose the rest. Screw it, forget it. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep going down this path. And it's like, what is what? Because everybody sees the same things around them, but everybody receives it a little differently. So it's like, what is different about y'all that y'all be thinking like that? And you're like, yeah, yet. And then other people like, it's inevitable. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the difference in your mindset and your spirit that's like, what makes you want to change? Because you could put the same thing and same message in front of 12 people and they all look at it a little differently. You know?
A moment of clarity. So they talk about this. It's a moment of clarity or act of divinity. In mine, I was in a place where we may or may not have been growing things, and
Allegedly.
with some people that might have been doing some not so wholesome things as well. And I think it was my birthday. It was my 21st birthday, and it took another while after that. But I was basically been up for 2 days, did a bunch of things that changed the way you see reality, and kind of had like a nervous breakdown and realized that all the people that were surrounding me did not care one bit about me and just were there for whatever. And me being like, this whole thing this is my life and I actually care about it. This is just like one more heartbreaking experience. Like, everybody around you could care less about anything other than themselves and how to get messed up. And so it was kind of like, I
Seeking
guess,
their God, so to speak.
well, more like an out-of-body experience where just getting slapped by God, like, hey, check it out, this is your life, you know, like,
Right.
all this around you, and you're gonna die or go to prison. And when I pulled myself out of that, you know, because of that moment of clarity or act of divinity or whatever, because what you're saying is true. Like, you get to a point where you don't care,
Right.
you know, you just, there's that next thing, that next
Right.
excitement, and at least for me anyway.
And then the delusional part is that they'll sit there and tell themselves that it's not happening, and they'll make excuses on,
Right.
oh, well, it's not that bad. I'm still not, you know what I'm saying? I might be homeless, but you know what I'm saying? At least I got this shed, you know what I'm saying? I'm staying in behind, you know, my cousin's house or whatever it is you're doing, you know what I'm saying?
That, or
At least I got this box.
Right.
At least I'm not banging my neck, you know, or whatever. That-
At least
I'm
I'm not
shooting
screaming
up
at the
in my
wall.
toes.
At
I
least-
still got,
I'm not that dude. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So, or at least I'm not as bad as him.
and that's why you
Right.
hang around those types of people, because it makes
So
you
you
feel
can
better.
stay
You
there.
hang around
Right.
So you can stay
garbage.
sick.
But that's I was just writing that down. One of the big things, you know, one of the first things they tell
But that's
you.
the thing you got to be careful of, is saying that that person's garbage. You know what I'm saying?
But by the grace of God,
but by
there
the grace
go
of
I.
God, right? Because that could be you.
Yeah, one thing. Yeah, if unless
That person's not garbage. They
a
just
few
made
bad decisions, and I'll be that
one
guy.
more bad decision than you did.
Yeah, we make fun of the.
Right.
We were sitting here talking about the tweakers on the side of the road. Jacob was doing
Right.
his impersonation of the guy he saw this morning walking up, and it's like, bruh, like keep making fun of that guy, because I'm like 2 bad decisions from being that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll be that guy in an hour.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In 30 minutes.
Right.
Like with this neighborhood here, bro, I can
And
find it.
And
in
it
the
don't
city.
matter that I've been sober for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
I one choice on the corner or something. Inevitably, it'll end there if I didn't die first. So and that's just the way they look at it. The way we look at it is a spiritual sickness. You don't get better unless you do the work, and every day. So, and like what he was talking about with prayer is I guess might be a little unorthodox, but pretty much everything I get involved with, I pray about work, females, where I'm driving. Like, you know, like I'll leave out because right now I'm on days off from where I'm working up north, and it's like I don't have to do anything. So I'll start out like, what do you want me to do today? Like, because I don't make good decisions still. And I know that. It's
Very, very bad.
You know, like
decisions.
I'm real good at making bad decisions. So like that's the first contact has to be, for at least for me, with God, and just try to align my will to the best of my ability, which I fail a good bit of time at. But my whole thing is I am actively trying to do that. You know what I mean? I'm actively trying to talk to God and ask for His guidance and ask for Him to be in every aspect of my life when no one's looking. You know, and I mean it. So, you know, that's kind of it. Like what he was talking about with prayer, and I don't pray for me. I pray for other people, and I pray for me to be able to be helpful to other people. And since I have these experiences with my life, I can be uniquely beneficial to a certain type of people that other people will never be able to be useful to because they don't have the experience or the, 21 years of doing the thing and still wanting to.
Right.
So
we talk about that all the time, that we're all a whole kingdom. So the north side of the kingdom is not the same as the south side or the east or the west, and that's the whole kingdom of God. So they're not going to be the same people. It's all what they call in the Bible the body of Christ. And everybody can't be hands, or we're just going to be doing a lot of clapping. Everybody can't be feet, or we're just going to be doing a lot of dancing. We're going to have the whole body. You know what I'm saying? So some people are going to be hands because you have to be able to reach those people. Somebody who hadn't been, even though we've been through some of the same things, there's still stuff he's been through I haven't been through. Still stuff I've been through that he hadn't been through. You know what I'm saying? I always tell people, one thing that makes me different than a lot of people that I know is I had the best dad. You know what I'm saying? I had the best dad. So even people with great dads can just really screw their life up. It doesn't matter that you had a great example. It's that you still are a dummy, and you still can make that bad decisions and ruin your life and be killing yourself. You said what makes us different. I was just writing down a few things where anything worth having is worth working hard for. So you got to be wanting to do something, but I can't do it for you.
Some
you know what I'm saying?
Give up.
Yeah, you have to hit a bottom, and I think that some people, no matter how, losing your teeth is not a bottom to some people. They didn't like brushing them anyway. Losing, you know what I'm saying? Losing your house is not a bottom to some people because I didn't like paying rent anyway. I like this tent. I'm staying out here as long as I can get loaded.
Getting some fresh air out here in nature.
Exactly. They
got my dough.
No police.
Right.
Woo!
No police. Right. But it's worth working hard for. What they say is in some, and all the next few things that I'm about to say are all things that I've learned from recovery and being in programs, which you have to work a program for it to be worked. But you have to get sober long enough to stay sober.
Right.
You can't go in with your crazy mind and hear anything they have to say. Right. One thing that Rob had told me, I've heard through so many people, and so it makes it true. Once you hear it from a whole bunch of different people that weren't talking to each other, it's like, oh, got to go through the book and see this book too. But we have a book in sobriety. You go through and you see what makes you, where can you see yourself in that book? Not how am I different than that dude? How am I different? Well, I don't have the problems he does. How can I associate with these people? Well, what problems do we have in common?
Right.
Have you been to jail? Yep. I've been to jail. Have you paid fines? Yep. I pay fines. Do you like that? No. You want to be different? Yep. You want to keep doing that? No. Well, then I can show you how to do that. But you have to get sober long enough to stay sober. You got to clear your mind. Get off of that garbage before you can even think straight. It says you have to change. One of the first rules is changing your play pals and your play places. Can't just hang out in the dope spot all day and think you're going to get sober. Right. That's stupid. That's trying the same thing and expecting different results, which is insanity. Change your play pals and play places, and then play. But I hadn't had enough coffee today. Bang. And but you can't think your way into acting right.
Right.
But you can act your way into thinking right. So get with somebody who knows a little bit more, who's got 20 years to your one breath that you've been sober, and do what he says. Do everything he says. You know what I'm saying? Which is a hard part because there are still sick. We're in a room full of alcoholics and drug addicts.
Another thing is like people think that they're smarter than everyone else. And there's a study that shows like the people who think that they're smarter than everyone around them is usually the dumbest person in the room. But the people like Einstein who are really like science, like you can have papers written about them, and they can prove how smart this person is. The smartest guys in the world think that they're dumb, and the reason that is because they're always willing to learn something else, and that's why they exceed everyone else.
Well,
but if you already know everything, there's nothing else you can learn.
So
it takes humbling yourself, I think, too.
I do my Oswald Chambers devotional, and he said, you pray to God that He chooses your friends for you, like you choose your books, which is a little bit further past you, a little bit further than your reach, so you're always reaching to become a better person and more knowledgeable. Two more things. In the program they talk about, or in recovery, they talk about the next right thing. Always continuously be doing the next right thing. That's what's different about people who are really working the program. I'm doing the next right thing. I'm changing my playgrounds, my play pals, and my play places. I
want you to say it right one time.
My play pals and play places.
Okay.
What's up? I got this.
I think it's the alliteration that's got you stuck. You know what I'm
saying? And this is a program for selfish people to become selfless. You got to take your eyes off of yourself. The reason that people sit around and give up their kids and give up their families and get their light shut off and then get kicked out of the house and then get their car they're living in taken is because they don't care. They are worried about one thing and one person, and it's right here.
Right.
Nobody else. And that's another thing. That's where you start working with other people.
And I guess my next question is well, I was thinking about this earlier, so I got one more question after this, but this is the one I wanted to ask next. You say you've been sober for 21 years, right? Mm-hmm. Is that straight through, or have you ever had any breaks?
No, those weekends you take off.
Weekends off?
You go shoot up dope.
So that leads into this question, which is...
So when I turn 21...
when you turn 21 in the program, you can drink it.
Right. Now, I was going to say, though, like, have you ever, like, almost fell off then in those 21 years, and how was that, if so? Was there a time that you were like, man, screw this, willing to give it all up, but you stopped yourself? You know what I'm saying? Is there any times you almost went back?
Every morning at 7:30. That's
well, more to the effect of this is how this at least to my understanding, which is limited, of how I am. I will create a scenario in my life that will hurt me, so I can make that an excuse. So I haven't necessarily wanted to go out and get loaded again, but I have wanted to do some really mean things to people, because people are flawed and they hurt other people, and sometimes in like the worst possible way they could, and even by that law you're justified in your behavior. And it's still so more. It's not about really me wanting to get loaded so much. It's about me wanting to do things that'll kill my soul or whatever, or damage me inside to the point where I won't care anymore.
Right.
And I could see myself using that as an excuse to get loaded. So for me, it's more of like I need to be mindful of what I do. Again, it kind of just leads back into action thing. So no, not necessarily. I don't want to get loaded. I might want to put my hands on some people or something like that, or but then when I do that, that lights a fire in me, because I used to do that, and I used to make a living, put my hands on people,
right?
And so. You start getting a complex because anyways, and so
go.
That can, at least for me, it gave me like I could do this to this person with my hands, and then you start getting a complex and start thinking you're this or that, and then at some point you're going to get knocked off that. I don't know if you watch MMA or anything like that, but that type of thing, and you get good at something like that, you're doing stuff, and then you get an ego about it,
right.
And so I never used all that stuff for that. I used that for jobs that I had, because I wanted to stay out of all that type of light, and just it's all bull crap to me. So I don't like it's all self-serving. So
Right.
if I'm using that to help someone, which is why I learned it.
Well, there is an adrenaline rush in that, so that's
Mhm.
a drug in and of itself. You know what I'm saying? You get addicted to that
You get
feeling of
addicted to
power,
anything.
right?
Right. And well, when somebody fishes in your hands and goes to sleep,
Right.
you know you can take their life. It's and you do that a lot. It's kind of like,
Right.
You just kind
You
of
get
get
it.
weird. And,
Right.
so I don't know.
You're weird.
So anyway, it's stuff like that I got to be mindful
Right.
about. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? It always comes back down to motives. And like he was talking about with people in the rooms, you don't know who people are. You'll find out, though. You'll find out. It'll take time,
Right.
but you're going to find out. And the ones that are about what they say they're about, you're going to find out about them too.
Right.
So I mean, it's just like anywhere you go. Church is the same. Your workplace is the same. People are there for you don't know until you find out.
And there's always going to be somebody. There's always going to be somebody, no matter where you're at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you're searching, if you're not dealing with recovery and you don't have a need for recovery, you still have a need for God. So
Right.
find a place of worship and plug in. But know that everywhere you go, there's going to be somebody with ill intentions, because
Right.
that's the world.
But that
It's
goes
going to be
back
somebody.
into not hate
and you're not
Jesus
gonna
for
like
what somebody
everybody.
else does. You know
And
what I'm saying?
everybody's not going to like you. Let me say one thing so I can, because I always like to just throw a scripture out there
Right.
really quick. Rob was saying that there are some people that you want to do horrible things to, and that's why you have to continuously pray for your enemies. It says in the Bible, pray for your enemies and to align your will with God. But I was saying there's people that really need to
boy!
run over with a car. That's what I like
look,
to say.
here's the thing.
But,
That's what we got to be careful, bro. And going back,
but real quick, let me get out, and you can take off. I feel like there's people that need, in my selfishness, that need to be run over with a car. That's what I think. But it says in Deuteronomy 32:35 in the Word of God, and then Paul quotes in Romans 12:19 that vengeance is mine, says the Lord. You have to give God everything because He'll take care of those folks. Those people are going to have to answer for everything, and I'm going to have to answer for that. And like I was telling Fat the other day, I was telling my brother Ron, when I'm at the front gate, no matter how good this guy's seen me do or work hard, no matter what you think of me, I'm going to stand in front of God, and He's going to go, what did you do? Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm not going to go, no, Rob, come up here and tell... Yo, bro, get up here. Tell him that I was there every Wednesday.
He can see everything else too.
You know what I'm saying?
But no, that's
he's
the
there
thing,
when you
though.
got the covers pulled over.
It's like this, bro. Somebody hit me like this one time. It was like, all right, if you think that person deserves this, what if God judged you like you judge everyone else? What if God was to not judge you based off the word and what He said in His law? You know what I'm saying? But what if He was to turn it around and be like, all right, well, I'm going to judge you just like you judged everyone else?
Well, He does.
Right.
Judge not, lest ye be judged.
But that's the thing,
Yeah,
though.
the same cup that you pour
think
with.
that you were the judge, the judge, jury, and executioner on that person, that they should be run over with a car because they did this thing. Well, I guarantee you, at some point in your life, you've done something
I should be run over by a train.
Right. That's what I'm saying, though. And that's what you got to remind yourself is that really, no matter how bad that is, I've done something equivalent at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I was praying.
Whether it be seen, known about, you know what I'm saying?
I was
You know
praying
what
last
you're about.
night. I was praying last night, and look, if y'all don't tune into the Morning Motivation, link up to the Remnant Facebook page and come pray with us every morning. But that I was saying that in the video you didn't get this morning. I think this was the first morning we had some technical difficulties, but I posted it again. That I've been praying, for some reason it was in my spirit to pray that I could see people with God's eyes. How does He see them? Well, they're His kids. They're His creation. He wants them to do good, no matter where they're at. And no matter how much they hurt me and how much I want them to suffer,
Right.
It's like even people that suffer, that's a choice they made. God doesn't like to see you suffer. You put yourself in that situation through the choices that you made. But he loves you, and I want to be able to love people that same way.
Right.
So, and aside from what he just said, basically we call that inventory taking. Like, we'll look at somebody, I mean, like they're doing this, that, and this and other thing. And for me, what I find a lot is the things that annoy me and irritate me in other people are things that I used to be very guilty of.
Right.
And so it affects me that much more because I'm guilty of it, and I used to live like that.
And I'm working hard not to.
Right.
And another discussion we had about that kind of stuff is so. I had some friends recently that went out and destroyed their lives, and because the variable that we deal with in the thing that we do is so much different than just normal folk. Like one day they're here, the next day they're out completely destroying everything around them, and it's like it doesn't make any sense. There's no logic to it. And the only thing chalk it up to is that person made a decision.
Right.
And so I remember having this discussion with my ex-wife about friends that would leave and go do all this and just destroy themselves. And she thought, oh, yeah, I just miss having them around and being able to hang out with them, talk to them. I'm like, I don't want them to die. And like, because we talk about it and like they're doing this, and they're doing that. And I'm not talking about that to assassinate their character.
Right.
I'm talking about it because I don't want to end up like that.
Right.
And I want them to be able to hang out with their family and not die.
Right.
So, a lot of my friends are dead because of this thing.
Right.
And close friends and my ex and all of them are just whatever.
Right.
So
Yep.
It's there's a difference between
And that's what we got.
judgment and constructively discussing something so I don't become that.
But it's like this, bro, and this is where I've had to check myself up on. It's like we start getting right, we start doing the right things, bro. We start moving in the right direction, and then we look at somebody who's not, and you just want to pick them up because you see the wrong that they're doing. You just want to slap them across the face, bro. What are you doing?
Yes.
But then I got to take myself back to that mindset of where I was, and I got to think if somebody did that to me, I would be like, screw you.
Yeah.
Man, I really need a drink
Screw
and
you,
some
right,
dope right
right
now.
now. I need to tune this
That
son
guy
out.
ruined my
I need to
buzz.
turn this guy off. Change the channel.
I'm never hanging out with him again.
Right, he is a hater.
Why
Yeah.
is he trying to ruin my party?
Right, and the thing I've come to the conclusion is you can't really talk nobody into doing anything
No.
right. All you can do is be that example, live that life, and let them look at you and be like, I want what he
Why
has.
is it happening? Yeah,
We
why
have
is it
to be
happening for
different.
him?
Why does he have it so good? Why is he so happy all the time? Why is he so peaceful? You know what I'm saying? I want what he has, and then let them find their way to it. We just got to live as that example, live better than they are, and then let them see that. And everybody's got choices to make, and we can't be mad at them for their choices. And that's such a tough thing to do because we know that they're making the wrong choices. We see the path they're going to. They don't see it. Mm-hmm. And you just want to slap them out, but you can't. You can't force nobody to do nothing.
Yeah.
All you can do is live as that example.
Watch. Just watch.
Right.
And be like, I'm here.
Right. I'm here whenever you're ready,
What's crazy? Yeah, you can clean your house. You can't clean anybody's house for them, or
That's
it'll be
it.
dirty in a day, in a few hours again, because they haven't learned anything. They haven't learned how to clean. It's but it's funny, like he was saying, it happens over and over and over again, and it's all a part of the of recovery and really being around like-minded people who want to do something different with their lives. But it talks about in the literature of the programs that people build their life up, and when it starts getting really good, that's when it gets scary.
Right.
Because that's when you can see people. I've seen 2 people now that shouldn't even have kids from ruining their bodies, and it's like
Right.
have miracle babies, get new cars, new jobs, new houses after years of being sober, and go back out. Like, why do you do that? But it's right here. That's why it's so important to stay in the literature and stay around people, and keep working the program, because it's there over and over and over again. You hear about people, and there's literature and stories of people who just end up in a taxi cab in another city for weeks. Like, what even happened? How did I even get here? It's you're sick, you have an allergy, you're just a sick individual, and so you can't think that you're normal.
Right. And I guess let's leave it off on a positive note and talk about how your life has changed for the better in the 21 years you've been sober.
Well, so I started out homeless and straight up homeless, staying in garages and on people's couches, and now I've got all my own stuff. I built a life with a woman, spent 10 years with her, and she destroyed everything, and I just let her have everything and just rebuilt it all myself again and again and again. So now my life is better because God took me out of a situation I didn't even know I was a part of, and I found out towards the end of it what I was involved in. It was like, really? I married you and I took vows and all this stuff, and it was just kind of like, we're going to put you in North Dakota, and you're going to go make a bunch of money in the oil field. And you're going to work, and God's going to put people in your life out there that are also like you, what you did, and they're going to watch out for you and watch you go through this divorce. And I didn't have children with her, and just gave her everything and cut everything that was a part of her out of my life and got rid of everything. And then so this is probably one of the worst things I've ever been through in sobriety, and I don't ever want to go through it again. But I married somebody that was never honest, so I didn't know that. I found out. Like we were talking about, like you're gonna find out eventually what people's motives are, and I sure did. And so that was horrible, but at the same time, God got me out of that pretty much unscathed. Don't get me wrong, like it was horrible and traumatic, but and put people in my life that had been through the same type of thing, that helped me walk through it and sat on the phone with me and listened to me and just walked me through it and prayed with me and prayed for me and gave me direction to keep me from, like we were talking about, do something dumb and and make a whole bunch of money, and which I intended to do to raise children and clear up our debt. But I mean, when you're with a giant it just pit, the bottomless pit, and you can't. There's nothing you can do about that. So I got removed from a situation. I got put around people that cared about me. That didn't even know me, really. I was the situation I walked into last year were my two best. One of them was my best friend. I thought he was, and then another, his wife. I actually married them, and
I thought I was your best friend. I'm sorry.
I got a lot of best friends. Come on. But anyway, so I walked into this situation and it was a lie. And so basically I spent most of a good 3 or 4 months in my truck on the phone, talking to God, away from poison and working. And then now I've got a bunch of stuff and I'm down here hanging out for until I go back up there, or maybe I'll find something out here to do if it's comparable. But my life got better because I just kept doing this thing and kept trying to stay on this path. And like you all said, these people will get removed from my life, even if it's the last thing I want. Like I never wanted any of that to happen, but it was so bad for me that it was just like, nah, dude. You're going over here, and I didn't see it for what it was at the time, but now I do, and I'm able to walk other people through that because I went through it. So those are blessings too. Like even though the experience was horrible, I'm not special. It happens to lots of people, and when it does, I'm gonna be like, hey man, here's my phone number. You're gonna need it, and we'll be there.
Just to kind of. Because I had it on my spirit to tell this story, because it kind of pertains to what you're talking about, man. There was a pastor I was listening to, and he was telling this story about there was this guy who made a lot of money, was really rich, had all this stuff going on in his life. You know what I'm saying? His daughters, were just accustomed to spending money all the time, had these parties, extravagant things going on all the time. Then the economy crashed, dude lost everything, right? And at the time, the daughters who had never worked had been partying, had to get jobs, and they had to find ways to make money for the first time. And everybody in this situation is like, bro, how could anything good come from this? They kept their faith in God, and they just, were all stressed out, didn't know how any good could come from this. Well, one of the daughters turned out to be a writer. and they wrote a poem. And you know what that poem first words that came out of it was? Jesus loved me, yes I know, for the Bible tells me so.
Boy. Yeah.
And then later on, somebody put music to that, and that song has been sung in every Sunday school, bro. You know, so many
Everybody
people
knows.
through comfort. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at the time, it looked like no good could come from this. I don't even think the dude ever financially recovered from what the guy said, but the song touched so many people's lives, and now it's one of the most. You know, if you say those words, everybody knows it, right?
People who aren't
And
Christian
so you never know how God's working in the storm. You know what I'm saying? You never know where the miracle's gonna come from.
Until it passes.
Right.
Yeah, you can see it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's all I was going to say.
Life is, you know, and that's the thing. I know people who are still, you know, living for the world and living for themselves that know Rob, you know, and just say, you know, with the stuff he's been through, it's just his life is really inspirational to all of us. Not to sit here and, you know, blow his head up or whatever.
Right.
Screw you. You're still a piece of garbage. But yeah, but seriously, that's the kind of stuff that motivates us. This dude gets totally, you know, crapped on, for lack of better words, in life, and that's not a reason to make bad decisions now. That's a reason to put your boots on, get back on the horse, and get to riding again. You know, I wrote down, Doc Holliday says in the movie Tombstone to Wyatt, he said to Wyatt Earp, he goes, Wyatt, I've only begun to defile myself, Wyatt. And it's like, you think it gets bad? It gets way worse than this. You know what I'm saying? So life is life. It's going to wake up, and life is going to urinate in your Cheerios, okay? That's going to happen every day. But life is not about what happens to you. It's about how you deal with it and how you react to that, right? I always say a lot in our morning motivations. Our life is God's gift to us, and what we do with it is our gift back to Him. So do something good, man. Do something good. Don't sit here and waste it and be selfish, locked up in a closet with a bottle and a syringe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like what he was just saying. So visually, and I don't know if this makes any sense, but I could see, like, I was basically in an inferno, if that makes any sense. And the people, my best buddy, his wife, my ex-wife, all of it was this smoke, fire, just, I don't even know how to explain it. And I'm just sitting in it with this wall around me, like being kind of carried through it, if that makes sense. Like not responding the way I would respond to something, but just kind of like, what is this? Like, you know, like there's a barrier of protection around me because I never stopped. He stopped by getting on the horse or back on I never got off of it, which is why I think I've been able to get through all this stuff. Like I never got off of it. I just kept doing what I was doing. I came out on the other side of it. All the people, this is something one of my mentor said to me, response, whatever, and he's like, you bring people into your life because you think they're like you, and they're not. Yeah. So be careful who you bring close into your life, because all the people who were close in my life decided to destroy themselves, and unfortunately destroyed the life I had in the process because they don't care about anybody but themselves. And it was something. My ex-wife actually said this prior to me leaving, going up there at one of our get-togethers. She was, speaking about it, and she said, "Robert really actually cares about people. And he's like a good dude, and this, that, and the other." Because it's true, I do. But I also know that I don't have the power to do anything other than help when I'm asked. Because there's or give insight when I'm asked. Because for me at least, I don't want people trying to tell me stuff or anything like that. I have to get to a point inside where I don't know what to do, to where I'm open to listen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, this is interesting.
That was funny though. He was talking about, because we've been talking about the 3 Hebrew boys a lot getting thrown in this fire. Like the guards that threw these boys in the fire got burned up because the heat was so hot. And that's exactly, they put 3 people in the fire and there was 4 in the fire when they got in there. Right. So sometimes you get thrown in the fire right where God is, so you can meet Him right in the midst of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's where He shows Himself strong and powerful in your life. And
It is.
sometimes we go through these
He
horrible
is
things so he
saved
can
my
prove
butt.
himself to
I
us.
don't know how many times, and me not even knowing that I'm involved in something, and at the end of it being like, what the heck was I doing?
Making bad,
So, like,
because we're really good at making really bad decisions.
So the positive note of all of this is that I get to be present for this. Like, regardless if it's pain, pleasure, or whatever, I'm not inebriated. I'm actually there. What's really going on is what's really going on, and I get to have to feel all of it and experience all of it and walk through all of it, only dependent on God, and the people that I know also depend on Him, because that's where I hear Him. It's through other people, and so I gotta, that's, if anything, all the stuff that's happened in my life has brought me closer to God, and show me I don't know nothing. 'Cause I've had jobs where I profiled people and like had to make sure certain things were this way or that way, so people end up getting hurt and stuff like that. And then I end up in a scenario where it's like all the stuff that I was good at didn't matter one bit, whatever. And it's just like, okay, all right, well now what?
So basically, none of us have any idea what's going on.
And that's it, bro.
If
That's
you
all we
want
got
to
to
meet
admit.
somebody who does, give your life to God.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's the thing. Until you can admit that you don't know nothing.
knows exactly what's
He
going
does.
on.
Until you can admit that you know nothing at all, then you're never going to see change, bro. Because until then, you got it, bro. You got it.
That's
Keep
it.
doing it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
See where you end up.
He does.
Yeah,
He
you
does.
keep on doing you, man. Keep
Right.
on doing
He
you,
does.
boo boo.
He got it.
But anyway, anybody got anything they want to add? You ready?
Closing remarks.
Closing
Think
remarks.
you got to get off your chest. No, yo, man. Look, anybody who's just absolutely ruining your life, continuously doing it. If you don't like the way life's going, and you think that it might have something to do with any type of spiritual, mental, physical, or emotional sickness, especially caused by drugs and alcohol, please get in contact with us. Comment below. We'll get in contact with you. Get my number, because you don't have to live like that anymore. Absolutely, we got some help for you, and we know a lot about it. And we know that we know absolutely nothing, right? Also, you know where to plug in. Everybody, thank y'all for being here today. Sunday morning, we're at the City on a Hill in Loganville, Georgia. Tune in on Facebook, City on a Hill Church. Worship along with us. The Word in the Woods, Word in DAWUDZ with Reverend Ronald LeBurd, my brother Fat Man, on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. And then the Arbor Rock Church in Smyrna, Georgia on King Springs Road. That's all of my family. Noah Watson, Nathan Watson, Janet Watson, Haroline Legizimon, all my aunts and cousins, Arbor Rock Legizimon, Gabriel Neal, Sharita Neal. Everybody's going to be there, and I'll be there a lot of the time too. So come worship with us. But you know what? It's better for y'all to be there. I like to tell you about the Facebook and the Instagrams where everybody's worshiping, but we want your body in the place. Come into the house of worship and worship with us. Thank you for being here today. I love each and every one of y'all.
Next week, we don't destroy our lives.
Jesus loves you.